So, my name is Chaturanga, and first of all, I would like to welcome all of you to our weekly seminar. And today, the seminar will be on English grammar prepositions. So, the session will be conducted by Mr. Indumini Kaviratna. And if you have any questions, you can raise at the end of the session, or anytime you can stop us and ask politely, and Mr. Indumini will be giving you a chance. And without taking much time, I would like to invite Mr. Indumini to continue with this.
Yes, thank you, Chaturanga. Yes, good evening to all of you. Again, I would like to welcome you for our Friday special webinar session. So, we would like to talk about today important grammar lesson that will come across ourselves, whether we are focusing on English language, whether we are engaging with other examinations like IELTS, PTE, NAATI, or whatever. This is an important section that you need to be thoroughly understand, whether it is whether whatever the examination that you are doing. And also this is very important with regard to your writing. At the same time, this is very important especially with regard to your speaking activities, because prepositions that we need to be thorough with, because especially when we are speaking, it matters. At the same time, in writing, it is highly important that you stick to the rules to convey the correct meaning. So today I'm only giving a brief introduction to prepositions, but this is a lesson that having a thorough understanding with regard to these rules, you will understand the usage of it. So that's why I'm asking, there are several rules, but at the same time, you need to be able to understand the context and understand the usage. Then only you will be managing the proper function of these prepositions. So those who have followed these things, you may be finding the preposition rules and those things are a bit easy. But at the same time, keep in mind, there are certain complications with regard to these prepositions usage. So that's why I'm trying to give a brief definition and brief introduction to these prepositions. So with regard to prepositions, as you may have understand, it's a structural word. Usually these prepositions can be called as a word which is used before a noun. Most probably these are words that are used before a noun, or it can be a noun phrase. Sometimes we are using most probably before a noun, or it can be a noun phrase or a pronoun sometimes, or some others define these prepositions as connecting it to another words, because some are considering these as sometimes conjunctions, because you can combine certain words with the prepositions. For an example, the pen is on the table, kind of a connection. Pen is on the table. On preposition, it's connecting the two other nouns or the two words in other words. So moving from that, with regard to the definitions, there are certain other things that you can call as prepositions. They are important structural words that express the relationship between nouns or pronouns. So most importantly, the primary function of this preposition is They express the relationship. As I go back to my earlier example, if I am telling that the pen is on the table, it shows the relationship between the pen and the table, how they have been placed, the relationship. Yes, so this relationship sometimes include the direction, or it can be the place. In other words, if you tell it in Sinhala, dishaවක් සමහර විට පෙන්න. Or it shows a place, ස්ථානයක් හඟවන්න, or a time, or it can show a course, or a manner, or kind of a movement also with regard to certain preposition. It can show a movement, or sometimes it can show the amount also. Amount mean, yes. Yes, ප්‍රමාණයක් උනත් පෙන්වන්න ඉඩ තියෙනවා මේ preposition එක. That's why they are known as structural words, that is expressing a relationship. Yes, so that's why they usually come before the words they control. That's why the words itself is known as the prepositions. Prepositions කියන එක, if you consider as the word, that's why it is known as preposition. Yes, because they usually come before the words they control.
Also,
Yes.
there's a special notice. Please mute your microphones as well.
Yes, much better if you can mute your microphones.
Galaxy.
Unless you are asking a question. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yes, so that's why they usually come before the words they control. For an example, there is an orange on the table. So the preposition is on. First thing, it shows the relationship between the orange and the table. How they have been placed. The orange is on the table. මතු පිටක තියලා තියෙනවා අන්නේ relationship එක පෙන්නනවා, how they have been placed. Look at the second one. I bought this book for 400 rupees. In other words, the function of this preposition is it shows the amount. It shows the 400 rupees and the book, the amount, how much it costs. That's how it shows the relationship. First, it shows the amount. In the first example, it shows the place, how they have been placed. And look at the third example. Drive across the bridge, go down the avenue. So in such instances, those prepositions are showing the direction. Those are showing the direction. Yes, thank you very much. Yes, drive across the bridge, go down the avenue, pass 3 spotlights, and then turn left before the gas station. So all these prepositions are showing the direction. Across the bridge, down the avenue, like that. So this is the most important definition that come across with regard to the prepositions. They are showing the relationship between certain nouns, and this relationship mean it can be anything. There can be several things. It can be the direction, place, time, course, or manner, or even the movement, or sometimes it is the amount. So this is the thing that you need to keep in mind. First of all,
I'm telling mommy.
Yes.
I'm not telling Tata. I'm
yes.
telling.
Can you all mute your microphones? Thank you very much. Yes. So with regard to the English language, there are lot of prepositions. So as the word itself, they are known as prepositions. As you can see, these prepositions on, through, behind, for, beneath, against, beside, like that. If we show a list, there can be many prepositions. So most importantly, keep in mind, they are usually come before a noun that they are going to control. That's how we usually call them. The preposition tries to control the noun that comes after it. Something is beneath. A preposition එකට පහලින් තියෙන. During the year. So that's why they are called as prepositions. They come before the nouns that they are going to control. Not actually control, but giving a huge effective meaning to the noun by positioning them before such a noun. So first of all, I would like to talk about the different kinds of prepositions. We talked about the definition, what's their function, and in English language, there are three kinds of prepositions. Actually, those are not three different categories of prepositions. According to the function they do, we have categorized them into three. So as you can see, there are three types of prepositions in English language. First thing is place of prepositions. That means there are certain prepositions that are indicating a place. ස්ථානයක් හඟවන නිපාත කියන අදහස. Place of prepositions. And the second category is known as time of prepositions, or the prepositions that are indicating a time factor. කාලය හඟවනය. And the other thing, third category is direction of prepositions. That means the prepositions that are indicating a direction. Go towards the office. He went down first, kind of a direction that you are indicating. So these are the most important three categories that we are using in the English language. Place, time, and the direction. So moving from that, the other thing that you have to keep in mind, in English language, there are three prepositions that are called as common three prepositions. Because we are known these three prepositions like in, on, and at. These three prepositions are known as common three prepositions because these are the most common prepositions that we are using. At the same time, keep in mind, the prepositions are a bit confusing grammar context is because these three prepositions are used to indicate both time factor as well as the place. Because we are using these three prepositions to talk about the time factor. කාලය හඟවන්නත්, we are using these three prepositions. At the same time, keep in mind, the same three prepositions are used to talk about a place. ස්ථානයක් හඟවන්නත් මෙන්න මේ common three prepositions අපි use කරනවා. With a different meaning, we are using these three. That's why the confusion arises, because we are using them to time. At the same time, we are using the same preposition in for time and in for place also. On to talk about a time, at same time to talk about a place. Same thing with the at. Yes, so to clarify these issues, let's look at one by one how we are going to differentiate these three main prepositions, how they are indicating time, how they are indicating place. So first of all, let's have a good understanding about the prepositions of time factor. Those are known as prepositions of time factor because we are using these prepositions to talk about a time. So the very first example, that means we are using the preposition at to talk about very specific time. For an example, the train is due at 12:15 p.m. So it is not 12:14, it is not 12:16, it is exactly 12:15 p.m. Very specific time. It is not a non-specific time like a day or a year or a duration time? No. 12:15 means very specific time. So keep in mind, even for an examination, if you are getting this kind of a question, because most importantly, you are getting questions something like this. The train is due blank 12:15 p.m. So you need to keep in mind, if you see a very specific time, then no other preposition can mean put into that gap. Only the preposition at can be put there to indicate a specific time. The class will start at 3 p.m. Not on 3 p.m., not in 3 p.m. Like that, we are using the preposition at to designate a specific time. The aeroplane will leave at 6 a.m. like that. Look at the second example. My brother is coming on Monday. So we are using at to indicate specific times, whereas we are using the common preposition on to talk about days and dates. For an example, non-specific but little bit specific because it is a designated day, Monday. Mulu dawasam. So always keep in mind, again, we can't use other prepositions there. As soon as you see the name of a day or a date, you can't use my brother is coming at Monday. No, it is wrong. Again, we can't say my brother is coming in Monday. No, it is again wrong. Among these three common prepositions, we have to use only on for days and dates. Yes, look at the third one. He started the job in 1971. So in such an instance, 1971 means kind of a year, kind of a duration. So to talk about this kind of a duration, we are using the preposition in. That means, again, you can't use the above two prepositions. He started the job at 1971. No, it is wrong. He started the job on 1971. Again, you can't. Always keep in mind, we use in for non-specific time. During a day, a month, it can be a season or an year. That's why we usually use the preposition in with winter, because it's a kind of a duration. Winter again, nearly 3 or 4 month duration. Is that clear? With regard to the prepositions of time, among these three common prepositions, they have very specific functions, they have very specific roles. We have to use at to talk about very specific times. We have to use on to talk about days. Similarly, we are using the preposition in to talk about the duration. Maybe a year, in January, in winter, like that. At the same time, keep in mind, there are two other most common prepositions that we are using to talk about time. He held his breath for 7 minutes. So here for we are using to measure time. I did the lecture for 2 hours. I did the webinar for 1 hour. Like that. We use for when we measure times. It can be 7 seconds. It can be minutes. It can be hours, dates, months, or years. So we are using for to talk about duration or to measure time. Last one. He worked here since 1970. To talk about a particular point and a continuation from that, we are using the preposition since. Sita කියන අදහස. He worked here since 1970. Very specific date or a time, and a continuation from that specific time, we use the preposition since. So this is the most important part of prepositions of time, to indicate time. Yes. So far clear? Moving from that, similarly, those three prepositions are being used to talk about a place. ස්ථානයක් හඟවද්දිත් we are using the same three prepositions, but with a different meaning. That's why usually the talk about prepositions can be a bit complex, because at a one point we are using them to talk about time, but at the other point we are using them to talk about a place. So look at the first example. She lives at number 7 Miriswatta Junction, Gampa. So like we use at for specific time period, or to talk about a specific time, under the prepositions of place, we are using the at to talk about a very specific address. Because it is very specific. Number 7 Miriswatta Junction. It is not number 6. It is not number 7. It is very specific. It is number 7 Miriswatta Junction, Gampa. Very particular address. So we use at for specific addresses. බොහෝම නිශ්චිත ස්ථානයක් හඟවද්දී at use කරනවා. Likewise, we used at to talk about a very specific time period. Time. Look at the second example. Her house is on Princess Road. So under the prepositions of place, we are using on to talk about or to designate names of streets, avenues, etc. Because we can't use her houses at Princess Road, because sometimes in speeches we can, but in writing at usually used to specific address, but here it is Princess Road. So there's a range, the starting point of the Princess Road and the end point of the Princess Road, somewhere there. So on a කොතනක හරි පිහිටලා තියෙනවා. That's why if somebody asks you, where are you? We tell, I'm on Gold Road. Because we can't tell I am in Gold Road. In වෙන්න බෑ. Gold Road එක ඇතුලේ වෙන්න බෑනේ. You can't go in. Always මතු පිටක් තමයි එකෙන් හැංගවෙන්න ඕනේ. I'm on Gold Road. Is that clear? At for specific addresses, we are using on to talk about names of streets, avenues, මොකක් හරි පාරවල්, අතුරු පාරවල් ගැන කතා කරන්නේ, because we are always on them. අපි මේ මතු පිටනේ ඇවිදින්නේ. Similarly, the third example, in preposition, we are using it for two things. First example is she lives in America. Why we are using the preposition in there? Because America means it's a very large area. Large area එකෙත් somewhere කොතනක හරි බොහොම නිශ්චිතයක් නෑ. That's why he lives in Colombo, because it's a large area in Australia. We use in for the names of large land areas, towns, states, countries, or it can be continuous. Because large area, somewhere in that large area. Similarly, we are using the same preposition to talk about an enclosed entity. For an example, we are telling, I am in the classroom. Why? because a classroom means an enclosed area, or someone telling he jumped into the swimming pool. If you indicate kind of an inside අතුලාන්තයක් හැඟවෙද්දිත් අපි මෙන්න මේ in කියන preposition එක use කරනවා. Is that clear? We are using in with two meanings. One is we are using in to indicate a large area, because he lives at Sri Lanka කියන්න බෑනේ. He lives on Sri Lanka. No, not correct. He lives in Sri Lanka, or she lives in America. Large areas, always we are using the preposition in. So if you can remember these basic rules first, then the knowledge of your prepositions will be gradually improved, because these two are the most important things that you have to keep in mind. Under prepositions of time, I told you the at, on, in are occurring with different meanings. Similarly, under prepositions of place also, these three prepositions occurring with different meanings. At for specific addresses, on to talk about names of streets, avenues, and in for large areas as well as for enclosed area. In the bottle, in the box, like that. So that's the step one of learning prepositions. You clearly differentiate the time factor and the place. So after having a good knowledge about that, we can move on with other prepositions that are indicating a place. So all these prepositions are used to talk about the place. Prepositions of place. Some prepositions show where something happens. So where, kind of a place. Sani was sitting under a tree. So as you can remember, the primary function is, it talks about how Sani and the tree are located. Sani is sitting under a tree. Tree is here, he is sitting under it. The location is mentioned. There is a wooden floor underneath the carpet. Wooden floor, carpet, how they have been placed. There's a wooden floor underneath the carpet. It shows a location, how something is situated, something happens. And some geese flew over their house. How they flew? Over their house. So that's the function of prepositions. John and Sarah were hiding inside the wardrobe. They were inside the wardrobe. So it shows that how this John and Sarah were located. They are inside, they are in the wardrobe. I'm sorry, the last one is not clear. There was a tree beside the river. Beside. Very near to the river. That's what it means. Beside the river. So through all these prepositions, under, underneath, over, inside, beside, all these things talk about a place. Where. So that's how the prepositions of place working. Moreover, there are some more examples for prepositions of time. So other prepositions show when something happens. That means a time factor. School starts at 9 o'clock. Earlier also I told you, if it is a very specific 9 specific time, then we are using at. We are going to the zoo on Saturday. If it is a day or a date, we are using the preposition on. No, you can't watch a video. It's past your bedtime already. That preposition talks about a time, not a specific time, but it is past bedtime. Means somewhere after a bedtime. I visited my grandparents during the summer. Again, a preposition of time. During the summer. It's a range of time, a period. So, during that summer. You must finish the work by Friday. If you are giving kind of a deadline, you can use the preposition kind of indicating a time by Friday. Sikurada veddi, you need to finish. I'll do my homework before dinner. Again, a preposition that indicates a time. Kalaya hangavana preposition. There are more examples. Let's have a look at them one by one. Yes, so we talked about prepositions of time. We are now talking about prepositions of direction, where it shows a direction. Here, some prepositions show where something is going. They are called prepositions of direction. Excuse me. The boys chased after each other. So the preposition after indicate kind of a movement. They chased after each other. Ekkenegge පිටිපස්සෙන් ekkenek chase කරගෙන kind of a movement they are showing. The football rolled down the hill. So the preposition down show a specific direction. ඉහළට නෙවෙයි, down the hill. A man was walking his dog along the river bank. Along the river bank. It again shows a direction how the man and the dog walk. ඒගොල්ලෝ කොහොමද work කරේ? Along the river bank. The freeway goes right through the city. හරියටම නගරය. We were traveling towards Miami. So it shows a direction again. Towards Miami. Similarly, like they were traveling towards office. Office එක දිශාවට තමයි ගියේ. It shows a direction. And the other thing that you need to keep in mind is we are using some other preposition with special uses. That means they are more like helping verbs. For an example, the usage of preposition. Our modules are full of real life. Our modules are full of real life examples. So here, the primary function of this preposition of is to talk about how it has been filled. Our modules full of සම්පූර්ණයෙන් පිරුණාකි. Addition එකක් පොඩකට දෙන්න. Full කියන word එක තියෙනවා. There's the word full, but it gives a special usage. Special addition was given by the preposition of full of real life examples. I ate a plate of rice and a quarter of milk. So it gives an additional detail like I ate a plate. What kind of plate? Of rice. And a quarter of what? Quarter of milk. They are giving some additional meaning. That's why it's shown as preposition of special use. Would you like a glass of lemon juice? Would you like a glass? What kind of lemon juice? What kind of it? What is it filled with? I need 3 pieces of paper, and it gives the additional detail. What kind of paper? Oh, I need 3 pieces of what? 3 pieces of bread, 3 pieces of something else, 3 pieces of cloth. Most of the children in my class like education. Most what of the children in my class like education. There are several ways of cooking. There are several ways of driving, like that. So that's why it is known as special usage. We are using the preposition of. Similarly, we are using the preposition for. It is also an important preposition that provides or that gives additional details sometimes. I made this bookmark for mother, for mom. It talks about for whom කියන අදහස. I made this bookmark for mom. Is there room for me on this seat? So, is there room for me on this seat? I'd like a new computer for Christmas. Yes, we are going downtown for a meeting. We are going downtown. For preposition, it gives the meaning. For what purpose? For a meeting. I made this gift for my mother. Is there place for me on this seat? Same thing. I'd like a new laptop for New Year. So we are using the preposition for to indicate some kind of an additional thing, additional detail. It gives what purpose for a meeting, for New Year, like that. Moving from that, the other important preposition is with, because we are talking these things as sometimes preposition phrases, because it's usually connected to the noun to give a proper meaning. He pounds nails with a hammer. He pounds nails with a hammer. He using this tool to do that activity again, with a hammer. Mix the flour with water. Kumak samagad. She painted the picture with her new paints. With the usage කියන අදහස. Would you like to come with us to the cinema? Would you like to come with us to the cinema? Going with us. I can do difficult problems with help from mom. Or with the help from mom. Who is the man with the beard? Who is the man with the beard? It's kind of an indicating kind of a possessiveness. He is with the beard. So that's how the usage of these additional prepositions that we are using. They are used to indicate for what purpose, and also, like in the last example, kind of a possessiveness. It's identity. Who is the man with the beard? Yes. Moving from that, there are some other cases where you need to understand the meaning. Usage of except and instead of. There are also prepositions considered that we are using except and instead. අර හැර කියන අදහස. I like all kinds of foods except uppuma. Except this factor කියන everyone likes chocolate except Tom or who have. It's kind of an giving a significance to that following now. Except uppuma, except Tom, kind of an giving a significance. We go to school every day except Saturday and Sunday. Other than these 2 days, we are every day going to school here. So with this word except, you need to put in some additional detail. Similarly, instead of හැරුණු කොට කියන අදහස වගේ in Sinhala, we should eat fruit instead of candy. So it shows again how the two nouns have been placed. There's fruit, there's candy. So in between we are putting the preposition instead. You should eat fruit instead of candy. Dad is coming to the theater with us instead of mom. So again it shows dad is coming instead of mom. Shows the two nouns, the relationship. Meya enawa without this person. So shows the relationship. Yes. We could watch TV instead of reading our notes. We could watch TV and the notes instead of reading our notes. So that's the relationship created by these prepositions, except and instead of. So these are also some other nouns that you have to have a slight understanding. Yes, similarly, there are more other prepositions, but briefly I'm going through them. Use of like, as, and then. Kathleen looks like her dad. So the function of this preposition is again shows the relationship between Kathleen and her dad. Kathleen looks like her dad. They are very similar. Peter sings like a professional singer. Peter and the professional singer, the preposition is like, yeah, equalizing. Peter sings like a professional singer. Are these shoes the same as those? So in the question format, we are using the preposition as to compare. Are these shoes the same as those? These shoes and those shoes. They are kind of a comparison. Someone is nearly as tall as the teacher. Someone and the teacher, those two nouns, are connected or showing the relationship with the preposition as. Dad is taller than all of us. Dad is taller than. So it again shows dad and us. Dad and us. It shows the relationship. Who is taller? Kauda usa. This painting is more beautiful than that one. This painting and that painting. So then preposition compares or gives which one is more important. So that's the function of these other prepositions that are come across in the English language. Yes, and the other things you need to have a slight understanding about prepositions that are used with adjectives in the English language, or sometimes it can be verbs. Dad was angry with us. So dad was angry with us. Angry, adjective with us. We were afraid of the big door. We were afraid of the big door. Afraid කාටද big dog. So of again additional detail. Sometimes these are known as prepositional phrases. Because not only a one word, with, of, in, vitarak neveyi, they are combined with the previous adjective. Angry with, afraid of. She is not very interested in sports. John is very good at drawing. He is very good at drawing. John and drawing කියන එක professional phrase එකෙන් connect කරලා තියෙනවා. John is very good at drawing. That means his skill. Mr. Lee is pleased with our work. Mr. Lee is here. That noun. Noun එකක් personal pronoun එකක් කෙනෙක්ගේ නමක්. Mr. Lee is pleased with our work. It shows the relation whether he is angry, he is pleased with our work. The teachers are always kind to us. the kind to us. What's wrong with the computer? What's wrong with the computer? So those are known as, in other words, there's a separate lesson which can be taught as prepositional phrases. Because it is not a single word, it is always combined with an adjective. Yes. Like the adjectives, sometimes prepositions are used with some verbs. I am looking for my pencil. Have you seen it? I am looking for my pencil. Have you seen it? Looking, it's a verb, but connected with a preposition. මොනවද බලන්නේ? I am looking for my pencil. Can't you think of another word for pleased? Can't you think of? Does this book belong to? We are listening to CDs. Verb plus the prepositions. I agree with you. I agree with you. Tell me about the show you saw. Cut the cake into 5 pieces. In between, the cake has come, but cut into 5 pieces. They borrowed money from the bank. Borrowed, kohinda borrow kare, from the bank, giving the specific additional detail. Where? So that's why prepositions are combined to adjectives. At the same time, they are combined with verbs also. Yes, so that's the brief introduction to prepositions. So usually after a small kind of an introduction or a brief description, we would like to give you a small activity. It is not compulsory, but just think whether you can find the correct answers out of these answers given within the brackets. 3 options are given because this is the way that you will be getting certain questions throughout your exams, whether it is PTE, whether it is NAATI or whatever. This is the type of questions usually they focus with regard to prepositions. Look both ways before you walk blank the road. If you are walking, yes, over the road, along the road, usually පාර හරහා පනිනවා කියන අදහස. Yes, thank you very much, Damita. Yes. Look both ways before you walk across the road. Very good. පාර හරහා තමයි පනින්නේ. Across the road. Yes. The second one. I enjoyed walking blank the exhibition. So, in an exhibition, what do we usually do? Exhibition, there are many stalls. So that we are what? I enjoyed walking. Yes. Yes, very good, Miss Ansala. Asima, Asli, very good. Yes, I enjoyed walking around the exhibition. Yes, in the exhibition also, correct, because it's kind of an enclosed entity. Exhibition mean rather than an open area. Other than over, because you can't go over the exhibition. No. I enjoyed walking around the exhibition. You are looking at everything, every stall. Harry steadied himself before diving blank the pool. So pool means enclosed entity. Very good, Ashim. Yes. Before diving, yes. Usually pool එකක් ඇතුළට අපි පනින්නේ. We are usually going inside. Yes, very good. Amita, yes. Harry steadied himself before diving into the pool. Very good. It's an enclosed area. Pool me. Yes. He sailed our boat blank the canal. Usually a canal means, yes, you know a canal. Body. Yes, very good. He sailed our boat along the canal. වතුර දිගේම canal එක දිගේම ගියා කියන along the canal. Yes, in also correct little bit because it's a kind of a waterway canal, but much better he sailed. Like you row the boat, he sailed our boat along the canal. Fifth one, I studied the back of the man. So you are studying the back of a man, back of a head of the man who was blank me in the queue. So if you can study the back of a man, how should be positioned? Behind me, ahead me, beside me. Yes. Yes, very good, Sina. Yes. Someone? Yes. I studied the back of a man. Then he should be in front of me, ahead of me in the queue. So that's how you decide the suitable preposition. Behind also correct. But I studied the back of a man. ඔහුගේ පිටුපස ප්‍රදේශය, back of the man. Then he should be situated in front of me. So ahead of me in the queue. So this is a brief introduction about the prepositions, how the usage of prepositions that sometimes very important for us. So whether it is speaking, whether it is writing, this preposition plays a very important role. So thank you very much for joining with us today. So if you have any clarifications, if you have any questions, you can raise the question, but I know this is a very brief introductory session with a large area to talk about a large area. So thank you very much for staying with us.